Imagine this. There's a cold going around and it seems like everyone you know, your family, your friends, your housemates are all catching it. You're determined to not let it get to you, so you stock up on your vitamin C pills, you drink plenty of orange juice, and you're confident you're doing everything to prevent yourself from getting a cold. Then later you find out that the whole idea that vitamin C prevents sickness is actually false. This is just one example of misinformation and how easily it is to spread. And it's not just limited to health myths like this one, it's everywhere and it's incredibly easy for us to fall for it. So here are just a few more examples of of misinformation that have gained popularity online. So from edited photos and deepfakes to AI-generated images, this just shows how misinformation can spread so easily and how vulnerable we are to falling victim to it. So what exactly is misinformation? Misinformation is false or inaccurate information that's spread regardless of its intent. This can range from inaccurate facts or misinformation that's designed to easily manipulate or mislead us, or it can just be a simple error in reporting. But more often than not, it's that misleading or manipulation that that's happening to try to mislead us, excuse me. More often than not, just to try and grab our attention. It's important to know that with misinformation, it has the power to shape and affect our beliefs without people even realizing it. So why is there so much misinformation in the world today? First, many people have turned to social media as a news source. Thanks to the internet and how fast information can travel, even the most misleading story can gain some traction online. Next, the novelty and surprisingness of false stories is exactly what grabs our attention and makes it so easy for us to be drawn into those headlines. The crazier the story, the more likely it is we are going to spread and share that story. Lastly, social media algorithms are designed to keep us engaged with content and keep us on that platform for as long as possible. They do this by analyzing our behavior, including the posts that we've liked and shared, and suggest similar content that aligns with our interest. Perfect. So what makes us susceptible to misinformation? So there's a few factors that I'm going to talk about here. I'll go a bit deeper into them in a second. The first is the illusory truth effect. This just explains how when we encounter pieces of information that occur often, we're more likely to believe that. Then we have cognitive biases, which shape how we process and interpret information. Lastly, we have attentional processing. So most of the information that we consume on a day-to-day basis is pretty quick, which doesn't give us the time to critically evaluate the information that's presented to us. So the illusory truth effect describes how when we're repeatedly encountering and exposed to the same pieces of information over and over again, we're more likely to believe it. This is because repeated exposure to that information increases our cognitive fluency, or the ease at which we process that information. So the more we hear something, the more smoother and easier it is for us to process that information, leading to us, and it's for that reason that we believe what is being said or what we're seeing is actually true. So our brains are wired to believe information that is easier and smoother for us to process. So then there's cognitive biases as well. On average, humans make about 35,000 decisions per day. With all that information coming at us, it's pretty easy to not deeply process everything that's coming towards us. So we rely on our biases, and we rely on these mental shortcuts, which includes our biases, but that can lead to errors in our judgment. One of these biases are the truth bias, which is where we're naturally inclined to just believe what others are saying. An example of this might be when a friend comes up to you and tells you about this new diet trend that they've been trying out, and you're more inclined to believe them rather than actually verify if that information is correct. Next is the confirmation bias, where we tend to seek out, favor, and interpret information in a way that supports our existing beliefs. This can be particularly dangerous in the age of the internet and social media, where it's more easier than ever to interact with content and people that can reaffirm and reinforce those beliefs that you already have. All right, now I want to try a quick exercise with you guys. So if it takes 5 machines 5 minutes to make 5 widgets, how long will it take 100 machines to make 100 widgets? I'll give you guys 3 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so many of us, when we intuitively think of this answer, we think it's 100 minutes, but it's actually 5. Since we didn't deeply engage with this question, we relied on our fast attentional processing to answer this question quickly. So many of us have fallen into the habit of mindlessly scrolling on social media as well when we're bored, which reduces our critical engagement with the content that we're seeing, which might lead to increased truth bias and increased belief in what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. And with the age of generative AI, in combination with social media algorithms, as we talked about, it's ever more important to stay vigilant in today's age. With social algorithms uh, constantly curating content based on our preferences, and generative AI increasingly getting better at creating convincing images and photos and text, uh, it's harder to tell what's real and what's fake in today's age. And this can lead to us not knowing what's real and what's fake, and this repeated exposure to what we're seeing every day, including this fake news. So I know I painted a pretty bleak picture so far, and it might be unavoidable to encounter, misinformation is unavoidable. But there are different ways that we can combat it. The first is that we need to pause and evaluate. Before jumping to conclusions, take a step back and think critically. Does this information make sense? Does it align with other trusted sources? Next, we should always verify our sources. Ask yourself, where is this information coming from? Is it coming from a credible source, or is it coming from a social media outlet that's just looking to get some clicks? Next, we need to be aware of our own biases. We all have them, and it's important to recognize them so we can remain mindful and objective. Take a second to think and be skeptical of those attention-grabbing headlines, and just know where that information is coming from. Lastly, be aware of the illusory truth effect. If we see information over and over again, ask yourself, where's this information really coming from? And is it as reliable as it seems? Just because it's familiar does not mean that it's true. So now I want to take a step back again and just think about the next time that you hear something new, or the next time you're following something blindly, like thinking that vitamin C can prevent colds. Pause and ask yourself, is this information true? Where is it coming from? Have I seen it before? By practicing skepticism, verifying our sources, and being aware of the traps that we can fall into, like the illusory truth effect, we can try and minimize the impact of misinformation. Thank you.